everybody. This is William del Pilar, and this is the Red, White, and Rude podcast. And I am here with my country co-host, Shawn King. Shawn, it's not really fair to say country co-host, but now that you moved, that's what I think of you, especially with that hunter's look. What's up with the hunter's look? Is that something that because you're a California guy, is that something you grew up with? Always liked the comfort? Tell us a little bit about that, brother.
Uh, the country boy stuff, you think I look like I'm starting to adapt the country boy look?
It must be, yeah. You got the hat, you got the T-shirt, you got the flag, and you know what's funny? When I lived in North Carolina, that's where we moved from Panama to North Carolina. We always stereotype the country guy as this white guy with a truck. Man, there were a lot of black country guys I knew there in North Carolina that hung out with the white guys, and they had the same thing, their trucks. And Shawn, we're probably closer to age than, well, at least 10 years apart, I would imagine. But, oh, you lived in California. In the country, in the South at least, when I was a kid, we moved to North Carolina, you would still see the trucks with the gun racks on the back. And they'd go into class with the gun racks out. Now, eventually you see some of them put them into the trucks and all that, but that's how wide open it was. And that country look and country mentality, it's not culturally, even though it's been put only on whites, it really, I see country Latinos, country blacks, in the same getup. It's a stereotype made of Hollywood, you know, and good and bad, or for better or for worse. But regardless, we got a good show. We have an end of the year show today, my friends. We are going to talk. Barbenheimer is the Barbie and Oppenheimer movie. We're going to talk about YouTube pranks, which I feel is just the new term for Darwinism. The Darwin Awards every year is the dumbest death. And we're going to do some quick hits. And I believe the SAG-AFTRA strike is another topic we have on hand. So we don't have a lot of time to waste, Shawn. It's a full show. As you know, we can go deep into these. But real quick, how was your holidays? How was your Christmas? Did Santa bring you what you want?
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I wanted a white Christmas again, but I didn't get it yet. So maybe hopefully here in the new year I will get some snow. If it's nice to have snow when you don't have to drive in it, and since I don't really have to be at a 9 to 5 job anymore, it's great. I want the white Christmas. I want the seasons, all the stuff I didn't have for 40 plus years in California.
I get that. I get that. And I hope I hope where you're at isn't like where I'm at, North Carolina. Because there we don't get white snow. We get ice snow. It's like when it snows, it's usually with rain or a sheet of ice, and they cancel everything. I think I mentioned that to you. So I imagine your kids will be staying home more than they ever have this winter compared to other winters.
Oh, well, they love it. Yeah, the ice is what gets the school canceled because of the roads. So they're already looking forward to their Christmas vacation ends next week, and there's a prediction for ice or snow Thursday or Friday when they're supposed to go back. So they're already rooting for extra couple days off.
There you go. So hey, real quick, silly question because I've known your kids so long. Are they still in the Santa Claus phase? But I thought they outgrew that years ago.
Yeah, they're too old for that now. But they still
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
presents.
Yeah, who doesn't? Even adults do. Well, let's get down to it. Our first topic are YouTube pranks. And as I said, I view them as today's Darwin Award nominees. But Shawn's got a couple of great tales here to tell us some of the pranks that did not go exactly as planned. So talk to me, Shawn.
Well, there's two, but I'm mainly going to focus on one. I'm sure everybody's seen it online. The kids in the shopping mall harassing what is a food delivery driver who's picking up food at the mall to go deliver it, and he's got this phone and he's putting it right next to this kid's ear, and I can't understand what it's really saying, but it's supposed to be something rude. And this delivery driver keeps trying to walk away, and the guy's following him, putting the phone to his ear while another second person's following the prankster too. And the guy keeps telling him to back away, back away. He doesn't. Boom, pulls a gun, shoots him. And this
Whoa.
took place in Virginia. So he got shot in the shopping mall. And so They put him on trial for the shooting, but he was found not guilty. They put him on trial for aggravated malicious wounding in the shooting. So it was Tanner Cook got shot. He runs the Classified Goons channel on
Yeah.
YouTube, which I looked up, has about 62,000 followers.
It's pretty
Um,
good.
so Alan Coley, I think I pronounced his name right. He's the one that shot him. He got not guilty on the aggravated malicious wounding, but he did get convicted, I guess, for a charge of unlawfully discharging a weapon inside of a building. He ended up being in jail for 8 months for that.
Yeah,
And
they don't care.
and
If you own a gun, they want to take you out. I mean, you could be the most innocent person, but if it's you with a gun, they want to throw your ass in jail.
the worst part, I mean, he had a CCW permit, so I don't know exactly what the laws are in Virginia that you can carry in a mall, like unless there's signs or whatever. So maybe that's why he got dinged for it. But he had a concealed carry permit, and now that he got convicted of this charge, he's gonna lose that CCW, and he can no longer possess firearms or ammunition. So he got, in my opinion, a little hosed on this. They nailed him on a little lesser offense, just enough to take away his Second Amendment rights. Um, they interviewed Tanner Cook and his mom after this whole trial thing, and his mom pretty much said, we trust the jury's decision, and I'm just happy my son's alive. And they asked Tanner Cook if he was going to keep making videos, and he said, probably. So getting shot didn't teach him a lesson. And I looked up, and he did make a prank video just 2 weeks ago. So apparently, harassing people to get views on YouTube and getting shot, the allure of getting likes is more more important to him than his safety.
You know, Shawn, one of these pranksters is gonna get shot and killed, and this is what's gonna happen throughout America. Nobody likes these people. Nobody cares for them. The only time you see love for them is from a stupid parent who raised a belligerent, bad child. And I'm not going to say I look forward to it because I don't, but I expect it to come. We are starting to have the walls collide. And you saw BLM and Antifa. It's like, how can they get away with it? Or why the guy got roughed up and sent 8 months in jail? It's because they're after conservatives. It's because they're after patriotic people. If it's a blue prosecutor, they're going after you. At the end of the day, look at BLM and Antifa. They were pretty much licensed to destroy billions of dollars in property damage and legally murder, because there are murders out there that happen that still aren't solved. There are murders out there that happen and the media poo-pooed it. Fires, destruction. And that mentality is a product of this current generation that we're on, good or bad. I'm not going to sit there and say, this new generation. I don't look at it like that. I look at it world events, cultural events, things that happen and what this generations are born into. But that's this pranks crap. That's a product of the every kid got a participation trophy. Ergo, you're not the bad person. You're not a loser. You're not this. You're not that. You're all winners. You never told no. And so, I mean, trust the courts. That dumb. I can't sit there and say the word I really want to call that family, but somebody's going to die. It's Mark, and it may not, and it's not going to start in this country. They never do. There was a violent incident in Japan. The guy got sent to jail. He may still be in jail for all I know. As Americans have this stupid belief of looking at how we work and how we do laws, and or rather how our laws work and how democracy is, and think they can do that in other countries. So I think this will probably happen in a different country, but will eventually come to this. I mean, doesn't it bother you, some of the stuff? It's not the prank, it's how they view their fellow human beings and how derogatory they are towards them is what burns me up. It's like when something bad happens to them, I'll be honest, I have no qualms in saying that publicly because they're bad people doing bad things to get attention and to make money off of somebody else's what's the word there, Shawn? Somebody else's bad things happening to them, being the person the prank is played on. I mean, I'm not right. I know what everything I said is not what the good human being should think. But how I feel is what I think America feels. I'm sorry, not America, but just the average human being, regardless of country. Do you see my thought process as that's what's starting to happen, or am I just way off?
Well, I think they always say the pendulum's got to swing back. And, for too long, people have been getting away with doing stupid crap to other people. And then as soon as they're about to get their butt kicked, they go, no, it's a prank. It's a prank. Look, there's the camera. There's the camera. I mean, there was another video we aren't going to get in depth on, but I think it's an Asian kid uses like almost like a long circular object. I could almost say like a long toilet paper roll is the only way I could describe it. A
Yeah.
really long, and uses it as a microphone to come yell in some older guy's ear at looked like a Home Depot. And this was a big dude. Yeah, he was maybe in his 40s or 50s, but he comes up from behind, yells in the guy's ear, and the guy grabs him and slams him to the ground and gets on top of him and is about to rear naked choke him from behind. And and it's like, hey, no, 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 it's a prank, it's a prank. And it's like, do these people do you want someone coming up from behind and yelling in your ear? My first reaction would probably be to turn and just throw a punch that direction.
Exactly. I can
So
see you doing that too. Actually, I can see you turning around and just slapping him with an open hand like that wrestler did to John Stossel. I can really picture you doing that.
well, the older I get, the grumpier I'm going to get. I'm going to be that guy. I can understand that. The old guy's just there chilling. And I say old, he's over 40. So older guy. He's just chilling at Home Depot and some, teenage clown yells in his ear. It's, I looked at the page for this YouTuber and he did the same thing to somebody else on the street, and the guy took it out of his hand and started smacking him upside his head with the thing that he yelled at him with. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
and that's what I'm talking about. It's not going to be a guy taking it out of his hand. It's going to be a guy drawing a knife or a gun and just getting so angry, boom. And what makes it worse, Shawn, is the people who have enough and fight back. They're technically the ones that are going to be found in the wrong legally, because these pranksters some of them do understand the law and how far they can push their prank. There's actually some smart pranksters out there that figure that stuff out. And it's catch 22. All this crap reminds me of a silly movie I saw where the husband's wife or home was being invaded, and he kills the guy, but the guy makes it out of the front yard, and he shoots him as he's turning around to shoot him with a gun, and he goes to jail. That's the type of society we live in, and that's why all these pranksters can survive. I guarantee you they do this in a different country, but I guarantee you they do this in Singapore, they're not going to get the desired result. And I would not be shocked because those industries, and that's the pranksters industry where I'm sure some of them know one another. I am pretty sure if you pulled out a world map, there'll be a big X over Singapore. Do not go here, or you're going to get lashed. Yeah. So, what was the outcome for the individual in Home Depot that took the guy out?
I don't think any charges or anything was filed on that. It's just a video that was circulating. He just took him to the ground, and then the guy who's filming the buffoon doing the trick is like, hey, hey, hey. It was pretty funny watching three people on the aisle just sort of stand back and sort of look and smile like, yeah, that punk had it coming. Like none of them intervened to like stop the beating. Like they seem to be of the opinion of he deserved that. So let him take his beating. Maybe
We're
it'll knock
all
some
of that
sense in this.
opinion. It won't, but we all are. Like I said, the only ones who jump up to defend him are his parents and that leftist anti-soccer mom who wants to make a name for herself defending the. Well, really, I don't see anybody defending them outside the parents. Any other stories there of note? YouTube pranks gone south. We got a couple of minutes still on this topic.
Pardon me?
Any other pranks you ran across that went south? We got a couple of minutes left here that you want to share with the crowd, with the audience.
No, most of them are more harmless ones. I've watched I forget his name, but he has a little thing. He makes a fake fart sound, and he did one next to a woman in like a scooter at a Walmart, and so he walked by and he does the little. He calls it, I think it's a pooter. I think that's what it's called. I don't know. You can look it up. I think it's called a pooter. You can buy one yourself and go do your own prank videos. But he did it by a woman on a scooter at the Walmart. And her husband got pissed off and said, "You just farted in my wife's face," and started punching him.
Oh wow.
And luckily, he's now he was definitely older. He was probably in his 60s or 70s. So luckily he couldn't punch that hard. But the guy's going, "Hey, it's just a joke. I didn't fart. It's just this thing. It just makes the sound." But it was definitely an interesting thing to watch and see that even a little thing like that. Most people in those videos laughed when he walked by and he does his little fart sound because they're like, "Oh, disgusting, what a
Yeah.
jackass." But this guy was like, "You just farted in my wife's face," and punched him and was going after
Good.
him.
Good.
So,
The minor pranks like that don't bother me. There's to me it's like, dude, grow up. It's the ones like you said with the megaphone in the guy's ear. I don't care if it's whatever. I mean, there's certain pranks that people don't realize can create damage, and those are the ones I do expect. In 2024, we're going to see somebody in a hospital for one of these. And we may not read about it until later because it's somewhere else, but you don't see them doing this in well, who
well,
cares?
it might be me, and then you'll need a new co-host to talk about the prank gone wrong while I'm on trial.
There you go. There you go. Give me 1 second here. I am going to. Looks like I'm blurry, and I am back. Still blurry, but whatever. All right, that's it for the YouTube pranks. But just be aware, there are ramifications if you want to be a dumbass out there, and those ramifications I think are ramping up because that's human nature and that's society in terms of how we eventually things escalate, But let's move on here. Let me grab my notes here. And moving on then from YouTube pranks to another major event this year. And it was a major event because when this happened, Shawn, and Hollywood was before and still is since the pandemic, they're dying. They can't buy a blockbuster hit. And then Barbie and Oppenheimer were big releases that had been pushed back because of the pandemic. There's a little history here. Well, first of all, Barbie and Oppenheimer are two movies that could be no more alike, but that kind of saved Hollywood and their reputation. And obviously, Universal and Warner Brothers, because Warner Brothers especially is bomb after bomb. Uh, they came out on July 21st. Barbie, obviously, it's a fantasy movie with the doll, and its base is worldwide with girls growing up with Barbie. And in Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan, a well respected director, he did that one movie with the blonde haired guy, hardcore leftist. I don't like it. Ben Affleck's buddy with Matt Damon, and I can't remember the name of it. But Inception, and that was a big hit. So he's a grand storyteller. Uh,
Did he
this
do
thing was
Batman?
called.
Is he the Nolan that
What
did Batman?
I want to say yes, but I was not a Batman. I wasn't a
That
fan of
was
the
one of the better.
Batman.
That was one of the better Batmans. I can't believe you didn't see that one.
No, the only one I cared for was the first one. The other ones I tolerate. I tolerate that one. But come on. I mean, by the third Batman movie, this is all you heard.
No,
I
but
mean,
this
when he
is
was talking in that deep computer voice, you could barely hear him and understand him. And I thought the whole football scene, I just thought it was a silly. Bane wasn't realistic. I thought it was a big blockbuster hit just because it was Batman and the last Batman movie made 750 million worldwide. So Batman's just an icon. But yes, I believe it's that. But so they nicknamed this Barbenheimer. There were memes about it. Those memes turned into merchandise. They turned into memorabilia. Because nobody had to trademark anything. So people were starting little startups up. Shirt companies selling Barbenheimer and things of that nature. Publications called it a cultural phenomenon and the movie event of the year. For those that don't know, Barbie, Margot Robbie played Barbie. Never heard of her, don't care. Ryan Gosling played
what the
Ken.
hell? You don't know who she is?
She's not hot to me, It's like she's a skinny woman, Ken is Ryan Gosling, and I'm like, guy's got a leading man's body. but I've seen better looking leading man faces. So, but that's today's generation. Oppenheimer had Cillian Murphy, who played J. Robert Oppenheimer. And the only thing I knew him from was from 28 Days Later. That was 20 years ago. So, and I'm sorry, Hollywood, it's like these women, they come and go. I don't mean that in a negative light. It's just the Sofia Vergara's, the Goldie Hawns, the Barbara Streisands. I'm trying to think bigger names that can transcend generational, or the Jennifer Aniston, but she's more for Friends. So there's the female actors tend to come and go more. And Margot Robbie's probably somebody I've seen in movies, but I don't
Oh,
watch rom coms and things like that. So odds are I haven't. Anyway, what is it about Margot Robbie that you know her from? Because maybe I've seen the movie you're thinking of.
let me see. I'm trying to think of some of the movies she did. She in Neighbors? I'm trying to think here.
I saw Neighbors. I saw
Let's
Neighbors
see.
with
But I'm not sure
that.
on that. I'm gonna have to double check on that. See what wasn't she in the Suicide Squad or
I did. That's one of the few superhero movies I haven't seen. And you know what? Maybe I did so much
yeah,
research
isn't she the one
in
that was
this.
she's the one that everybody dresses up at for Halloween. What I don't know what the character's name in Suicide. Man, I can't believe you
It's
just
okay. Here we go. Here we go.
Harley
Neighbors, Pan
Quinn.
Am.
She was in Harley Quinn and
Yes, yes, she was. She was
and
the
that's
Wolf of
where
Wall
everybody
Street.
started knowing her. Everybody
Gotcha.
dressed
Legend
up
of
as her.
Tarzan. Yeah, Suicide. Yeah, yeah. See, so, but again, can you tell me every hot chick in every superhero flick? I can't anymore. There's so many of them. Yeah. Brie Larson. I don't consider her hot, but the only reason I remember that name is because we talked about the Marvels and how much it bombed. Anyway, so let's get back to Barbenheimer. So this was a cultural event because everything was bombing, and the reason it was released on the same date is when the pandemic hit, Shawn, Warner Brothers said all their big blockbusters for like 2 years that have been shelved were going to go to streaming. And Christopher Nolan's a big screen guy. He believes in the big screen. Now he's an artist. Movies were made for entertainment. That's why they were created for the big screen about the time of the Depression. That's not a debatable fact. However, artists, their creative juices. So he kind of didn't like that. He went to Universal. They were doing Oppenheimer. They scheduled the release date. Some believe that Warner Brothers came back and scheduled Barbie to compete with them. So the studio execs thought a rivalry could happen or this or that, but it kind of this Barbenheimer happened, and both casts encouraged to see both movies. And I found that perplexing because I'm like, I thought I wanted to watch a movie about Barbie, and Barbie was woke, and so was Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer being a naturally woke movie because at the end of the day, we humans need to always ask the question about death and carnage and what we can wreak as nations and individuals. In this case, creating it. Barbie, to give you an example of Barbie's wokeness, she was whining and complaining. The movie said in today's present day and age about the boardrooms being all white and all male, and that ended 20 years ago. So it's your typical Hollywood trash in that sense. But in terms of the rivalry, Tom Cruise purchased both tickets to go see both movies and told him to go see them along with Mission Impossible. Sadly, not enough people saw Mission Impossible. It's dead reckoning. It didn't do well. And then Hollywood, always wanting to create these false narratives, said that they may be opposites, but they have a lot of similarities in terms of free will and responsibilities and how we need to strive as humans for good. Every third movie, that's what it's about. So it was just trying to create some kind of narrative that never picked up. But what is also not debatable is it to the audience, there's a term called counter programming, and this is what this movie was. Oppenheimer was slated for release, a heavy movie about the creating the first nuclear bomb, and his statement, "I have brought death" or "death incarnate," something like that. You know what I'm talking about. It was a statement that's famous that he made, signaling that the bomb is death incarnate, and from there they decided, well, we're going to do some counter programming. We're going to release it on the same date and try to stifle some of his people who go see it. And what happened, Shawn, was the exact opposite. People who couldn't. Barbie was a more successful movie, and we're talking billions here, a couple billion more successful. But when a movie's like Oppenheimer tops out worldwide at 900 million. That's you're talking okay. So you guys had 1.1 billion or 2 billion in revenue. We had you beat us, but we did well too. And so the counter programming was you could either go see one or the other. But Barbie people who were sold out, the Barbie movie was sold out, were watching Oppenheimer. So Barbie, in essence, also helped with that. My take, first of all, is what are your thoughts of before we talk about the box office receipts, of these two opposite movies becoming blockbuster when Hollywood can't buy a winner at all? And what did you think of the rivalry that really didn't become a rivalry? But hey, let's go see two movies. What do you think about that marketing aspect? Well, first of all, what about your the first question?
Uh, well, the thing I'm having hard time figuring out here is I know what Hollywood's going to do. We're probably going to be bombarded with Barbie sequels and Oppenheimer type sequels because once they have a hit, they try to drain all they can from a good idea instead of just like moving on. So I'm sure, I don't know how you can do an Oppenheimer sequel, but I'm sure we're about to get bombarded with Barbie sequel or two at a minimum. Um, I, you know, it's probably why I'm not in Hollywood. I don't understand how these two movies were big hits at the same time, um, and generally why they were such big hits. Blowing away, so many other movies. But maybe it's people were just starving for a movie that was just generally, the Barbie, bring them back to their childhood.
Well, Christopher Nolan threw a lot of sex, and the movie wasn't very realistic in many ways. So it was jacked up with a lot of your water cooler talk. But I'm with you. I could see Barbie being the massive hit because at the end of the day, Shawn, let's backtrack to your girl 10 years ago. She would have been every day pestering you probably to go see that movie. You can sit there, you can't sit there and deny your little girl to go see the idol, the toy she's holding in her hand. And that's a worldwide phenomenon in terms of Barbie. So I saw that Oppenheimer. I was a little shocked. I'm like, he was part of the team, maybe the main team, but there was a whole team that helped create that with many layers. And it was about Hollywood pushing the message. And in this sense, they were successful with that. Because taking a step further, people to this day still talk about and debate whether we should have dropped the atom bomb. And there's only been two bombs dropped. You know, so it's a heavy topic, heavy subject. You throw a lot of sex in there, and magic just happens. So, and again, it's a counter programming as to why they both could be successful. But I also think that the movie was tailored more to Barbie was tailored more to the kids in the sense of the coloring, the sets, the costuming, and that overshadows some of the woke messaging. And Oppenheimer, regardless of the woke messaging you want to push through that, it was still a solid story because it is fascinating. His statement, his quote that he made, makes that whole story, that whole saga, fascinating. So I think that's why. Now, the box office, getting back to what you said, the budget for Barbie was 145 million. So that means it needed to earn 435 million just to break even. It ended up, yeah, 435. I'm looking at my notes and I got, whoa. So it made 1.4 billion worldwide and took home a profit of about $1 billion. Now these are approximate numbers because the formula used it could be 2.6 to 3.0 in terms of figuring out how much it costs a studio to take the movie worldwide. So there's a formula that you use. You take the cost of the movie and you times it from anywhere from 2.6 to 3.0 to find your numbers that you have to hit. But that profit margin, we're talking $1 billion, Shawn. That's profit. I mean, there's only a handful of films that have done that. So while it may be nowhere near the top grossing, I mean it's near it, but it'll never be seen as like the top grossing movie, this or that $1 billion profit, And Shawn, to your point, I think this movie falls under the genre of movies where they built it around the biography and the event of an individual. Like right now, there's that one guy who's that actor, the blonde hair actor from that Vegas movie where they're drinking hard something. Uh, 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 Bradley Cooper. The Hangover. The Hangover.
Oh,
Where he's
Hangover.
famous. Yeah. So he's doing the movie, a biographical pic. So I think what you're going to see is more of that crap coming out. In terms of, but with Barbie, I think you're right. You're going to see Barbie this, Barbie that, Barbie everything. And they did the tie-ins, Shawn, with promotions tying the companies into the Barbie franchise. They took a more traditional approach, but because Barbie's an actual merchandise product you can buy, it kind of worked keeping the Barbie name. Whether you go to Taco Bell or wherever they have these deals, these girls are going to see it, and Barbie sales are going to skyrocket. Now, as far as Oppenheimer, their budget was less. Shawn, it was about 100 million. Worldwide, it made $947 million. So it had a profit margin of about 650 million. So Barbie had a profit margin of about a billion. Oppenheimer of about 650 million. So, and Barbie had a $45 million budget that was, higher budget. So Barbie was the clear cut winner. But to your point, Oppenheimer was a massive hit. And to me, it's just a cultural phenomenon. Lightning in a bottle. I mean, can you think of anything that would, I mean, you already answered it kind of, but as I've been talking, is there anything in your mind that you think, well, maybe this made Oppenheimer a hit? Because I can't think of anything, that would spur that movie to the numbers it did.
No, I don't. It's like years ago. What was that horror movie that was pretty much made for like no money at all, where they had the
The Blair Witch Project.
was that what it was called? Yeah, where they
Where the
followed
kids
like
with the camera looking for the
yeah,
witch.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I watched that movie and I was like, okay, well, it's sort of entertainment, but I'm still perplexed on how it made so much money and
Oh,
why it
that
was
was an
so
easy
popular.
one. That was an easy one because it was one of the first few where they did the movie from just like you and I having our little camp at a family event or camping trip and filming. It was one of the first movies they did it completely that way. Because remember that opened, and there's a term for that. I forget the term, where the whole movie's done kind of like with the guy filming it out of his hand. I forget what there's a term for that, but I think that's why that one. But even then, that's a guess. I mean, Star Wars, you can figure it out. Jaws, you can figure it out. E.T., you can figure it out. Spider-Man. I mean, I'm trying to find a movie that I can't figure out why it was the blockbuster hit it was. But then again, nobody saw the Fast and the Furious spawning 10 movies.
Is that what
Nobody
it's
saw
at?
the
10?
yeah,
Holy
I think
smoke.
so, and a couple of I stopped watching after four. But anyway, both films did get a critical acclaim. Obviously, exceeded box office expectations. Uh, it extended the award season. We don't need to discuss it, but just to let you know, at the Golden Globes, Barbie 9 nomination, Oppenheimer 8. At the Critics' Choice Award, Barbie shattered the record 18 nominations. Oppenheimer had the second most with 13, tied for another movie. So it did what nobody saw coming. Any final words on this? And I do view this as one of the top stories of 2023 just because of how bad Hollywood has been performing and these movies blowing everything out of the water. Any final takes on this?
Well, they're lucky they had these two hits because they had a lot of bombs to make up for financially.
Oh my God, Warner Brothers alone with their superhero genre. This probably saved Warner Brothers because they're hurting. And we're going to talk about it with a different segment. But studios are now writing movies off and not showing them to the public after they've been done. And some of them even had a release date, like Batgirl or Batwoman. I forget which one.
Yeah, is
But
that Warner Brothers? They made the whole
yeah, that's
bat
Warner Brothers.
and they canned it. So it's never going to see the light of day.
Right. Disney's done that to some of theirs. Paramount Plus has, and it's because of the tax write-off. And haven't looked it up, but I assume one of the rules for that tax write-off means that this movie can't be distributed anywhere. And I say distributed because that means it's going to wind up in places you can watch it. And I think there's some kind of law, reg, or clause in there that allows them to take a big tax loss. So yeah, well deserved. And God bless those actors, actresses. Hopefully they can make enough money so when there's another SAG-AFTRA strike, they can do what they should be doing and helping those fools out. But let's move on to Cardi B. And I love Cardi B. And Shawn's going to talk about Cardi B having what Charlemagne the God would call her in moments, and that's realizing the cost of the world and speaking openly about it to the chagrin of the Democratic plantation masters. Talk to me, Shawn.
You love Cardi B, really?
No, I love the fact that she voiced her true feelings about how the government treats us as people. As far as Cardi B, honestly, I'll be honest. She's, if you're a guy in the Navy on a 6-month cruise and you want to close your eyes, put some Cardi B music on, and she has your fantasy laid out already because her songs are brutally dirty, in terms of what she talks about and sings about. So it's not that I'm not a fan. It's just she's not my generation. I don't care for her, but God bless her for having cojones bigger than most Republican politicians and speaking her mind. Now, tell us all about what I'm talking about.
So you're not one of her 169 million followers on Instagram, is what you're saying?
No, no, no. But if she wants to share some sugar with me, give me a call, baby.
Oh boy. Well, before I get to her, did you know her stage name Cardi B came from a derivation of Bacardi rum? So that's where she
That
got.
makes sense, but it also explains her music and her mentality and what she's about. It's not good or bad, people. Every rocker has had. That's how they come up. This was her way.
Well, that was entertaining to me, but also that her younger sister's name is Hennessy.
Hold on, is Hennessy a stage name or her real name?
That's a real name.
Cardi B and Hennessy coming to town near you.
All right. So, anyways, she's ranked as since we're gonna. Well, I'll get to that here in a second. Let's talk about her little rant on Biden and the spending of money that was taking place on in the U.S. She was upset. She posted a video complaining about she's complaining mainly about New York that they're cutting. I want to say it was 100 million or something that she was complaining about to sanitation, to
That's right.
libraries,
That's
and
right.
she
Yeah.
even mentioned the police. She goes, "I'm no fan of the police, but they're cutting the police too. Crime's going to go up. You know, it's out of control." And Biden's saying we can fight 2 wars. We don't have money
Yeah.
for that. And she's going crazy. And it's just hilarious because she ends up at the end, she's saying we're going to be swimming in rats here in New York because, getting rid of sanitation and stuff. And after she ends it pretty much by saying she's never going to endorse another president again because of, she endorses, ends up supporting Biden and, what's happening now. All this, she wants an accounting of the tax money. Where's it going? And it was very entertaining to watch her go off on stuff that, you know, I'm like, this is what you voted for, though. This is who you supported. You supported people. I mean, in the 2016 and 20 election, she encouraged people to vote for Bernie Sanders. So when she's complaining about, the way things are, you know, you can't tell her this because, well, I don't think she's going to figure it out, but this is what you voted for. And, she even had a sit down with Biden after he was elected about racial inequality, free college, free health care, free this, free that. And yet, she's complaining that now they don't have money for, the libraries or cleaning
And,
up the
and
rats.
and Shawn, she was doing this because she's from a poor family, a poor upbringing. I get like this when it comes to my relatives in Panama. Not my relatives so much in Puerto Rico. They've got a lot of advantages that my Panamanian relatives in that don't have. And yeah, I see their oppressed government, the dictators before they overthrew Noriega, and even to this day. And the reason she was doing it, she's like, look, this doesn't bother me. but I got friends and relatives who are working class. And that struck me because I always tell people this, you know, never forget the people going as you go up the ladder or where you're from. Because eventually you're going to come down. Somebody like Cardi B will never come down financially, but she'll become just a no-name person like every rock star becomes when they get older. And but most of these rockers, actors, wealthy people, businessmen, they forget where they came from and they forget who helped them along the way. And that's, believe it or not, as corny as it sounds, that's what struck me. She knows there are people less fortunate than her, and that's what pisses her off. And the truth of the matter is, Shawn, you defund the police, all you're doing is put as a cop. Am I wrong? I don't think so. But I said when you defund the police, what you're doing is defunding help to lower income areas. Not to mention bringing the morale of whatever city you're in of their police to the point when the politicians are blaming everything on the police. It's like a chain reaction, and I think the end result is that cop driving his car around, here's a call come in, they're going to take their time because one, they don't want to get blamed. They don't have the necessary tools every time to make that call. And three, when they go to the call, those people may hate them already. So it's like a lose, lose, lose. So using the police as an example, it's not just the money that's being cut, but everything along with it. With the education, you're cutting books. You have to use books a few years longer. And as we know in today's day and age, they get outdated. So her bringing all this stuff up is good, but we already know the problems. So what's better for us as a culture and Cardi B herself is for her to overcome her ignorance. I have a definition. There is dumb and stupid. Dumb is you just don't know and you're ignorant. Stupid is you know and you keep doing. She's gone from ignorant to knowledgeable. So what she does moving forward will dictate a lot about the person she is. Now, sadly, she's so wealthy, so rich, that she can just take care of her family and screw the rest of the world. But I'm hoping in a few more years she matures and becomes a voice. Because for us to get out of this tribalism, we need strong, successful Black, Latino, Asian, whatever you want to call them, or whatever culture they're from, to help lead the way, not these politicians. So that's what I kind of got out of it. But hey, you New Yorkers, the more money that goes to Ukraine for you Black and Latinos, is the less money that goes to help your children. California is the same boat. That's how I saw it. You're cracking up over there when you were telling the story. Did you get anything out of it as much as you get what you vote for? Or do you see anything, what I say, with potential for maybe this is some growth or potential leader down the road if she still chooses to take that path to help her own people get out of the wilderness? The wilderness being getting off the Democratic plantation.
Well, the interesting part is she warned her fans against voting for Trump in 2016 because of his immigration policies, which is hilarious because the reason New York is having this massive deficit, according to their mayor, Adams, is housing all these immigrants that are getting shipped to New York. So,
right.
Once again, you're complaining about the problem and you don't like, what's happening, but you continue, but they're not enlightened enough, and I'm not saying her, but generally people in general are not enlightened enough to see the cause and effect. So they yell about Trump's immigration policy, but then when all the immigrants come to New York and now she can't get her sanitation and she's going to be swimming in rats, it's like, okay, are you going to realize maybe for the next election, okay, maybe we do need to close down the border because I don't want to be swimming in rats? I mean, I saw, I don't know when it was, she did have another rant on, I think from Instagram, where she complained about how much her taxes she was paying. And she is saying like, in essence, she's paying $100,000, a month to look the way she looks. Like, I got nails to do, I got hair to do, I got this. And yet they're taking, like 40% of my income or 50% of my income. And I got bills to pay, I got my nails, I got this. And I'm going, well, you see there's a problem, but she's not putting two and two together. And unfortunately, I'm sure most of her 169 million followers on Instagram are not going to put two and two together to say, hey, we give you free healthcare, we give you free this, we give you free that. Well, you're going to get taxed at 50% because of that. So it's good she's putting it. maybe
Go
she'll
ahead.
wake up, maybe 6 of those 169 million followers, which, hey, some is better than none, but I don't hold out much hope that she's going to, turn it around for herself and most of her followers.
So look, for the audience out there, we've been talking about this. We're talking about Cardi B and her followers. So most people are going to assume we're talking about the black culture. No, we're not. We're talking about the overall ignorance of Americans today because of the terrible public school. If I remember correctly, Cardi B she was born and raised off an island in the Caribbean. I get her and who's the other one mixed up. I view them
Well,
as pairs because they're so successful. But I get
uh,
her.
she went to school in the Bronx, I believe, because she donated, which I'll give her credit for. Yeah, 2022, she donated 100K to the elementary school she attended in the Bronx. So she at least started elementary. She did elementary school, and then I don't know how high school went. Is that when she got thrown out of her house and, then went on to the stripping and all that good stuff. But
Right,
so
right, yeah,
she
yeah.
get,
So it's the other one, Shawn. And she's kind of
well,
they're
her
rivals.
parents, yeah, I think her parents are from where you're thinking of. She was born and raised in New York City, but I think her parents were from, her father is Dominican and her mother is Trinidadian. Is that how you pronounce
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So she is
Yeah,
who I'm thinking of, and
yeah.
so when you have immigrant parents like that, you understand the value of money in terms of what it can be used for, what it doesn't, what you should or shouldn't use it for. But what I was saying is this ignorance from Cardi B is planned by the powers that be in authority. Just 10, 15 years ago, and this is probably Cardi B's time about when she was in school. Los Angeles County had black young black men graduating barely at an eighth grade level. In Atlanta, young black kids were being passed despite the fact they were failing because the teachers got caught in the scandal because they were incentivized. You pass so many, you get this much bonus. The teachers union does not teach history anymore. They've also changed the definition of words for political expediency that favors progressivism, leftism. Uh, we're no longer taught civics. Shawn, our parents, well, not my parents, they weren't here, but your parents, they had to graduate a civics course and pass a civics test, before they could get out of high school. None of that's being taught. And even during our generation, they weren't teaching us how to balance a checkbook, you know, and I still have a checkbook. We still pay with checks, so they still exist. But the point being, it matters that matter to the human being with life, how it works, the economy. They purposely keep us dumb. So when I see somebody like Cardi B, I don't go, oh, you're dumb, Cardi B. No, you're a product of our education system that purposely keeps you dumb. We're no longer teaching the ability to critically think, and that's become lost. And when you know to critically think, your first question is, well, why? Why are we doing that? Not because you're being a jerk. It's because you want to know the process that's taking your money. And that's what I have to say about that. But God bless Cardi B. Hopefully she can keep growing uh, and become a voice. Because Shawn, you can only crap on people for so long. History has proven that no government is absolute. Eventually, the people will rebel, and that's what I see in Cardi B. Also, the first seeds of rebellion. Larry Elder when he was on Charlemagne's show, and Charlemagne brought up the "you're in" moment. Like, when did you get it? And Larry Elder turned it around and has castrated Charlemagne forever by suggesting you let a white guy come in here and own you when Biden came here and said what he said. So I think we're heading to that. I think Cardi B is a reflection, but it's just too slow for me. It's your topic, Shawn. Are there any final words you want to inform the audience with?
No, maybe I should follow her on Instagram though, just so I don't miss any more rants.
And I forget, there's another singer, rapper who's just as big as she is. And I'm just trying to,
Nicki
it's not,
Nicki Minaj.
that's it, Nicki Minaj. So when I think
Yeah,
of Cardi B, I think of Nicki. When I think of Nicki, I think of her. And don't they have a rivalry?
yeah, I believe Cardi B threw a high heel at her at an award show or something. because they got in an argument over something on social media, I believe, and Cardi B threw a high heel at her.
There you go.
That could be a
And
whole
we'll
nother
leave
topic.
exactly, and we'll leave it at that. Let's do a couple of quick hits before we wrap the show up. This is to the audience. This is part one of our year-end research. Shawn and I picked the topics a couple of days ago, but there was more research to do on it than we thought, and some of the topics were heavier, and we didn't want to kill any topics, so we're going to have a second part to this show. But we do want to do a couple of quick bits, and one of those quick bits here, as I'm scrolling down, where are my quick bits? Is Taylor Swift. Let's go on to another singer. We just talked about her with her relationship with Travis Kelsey, and we like the nickname Trailer. I like it because it sounds very countryish. Trailer. Is that the trailer couple over there, guys? Yeah. But this is about Taylor Swift herself, and she's a megastar. Shawn, are you aware her Eras tour is projected to make 2.2 billion? It started this year and it runs into next year, so it could be the top story of next year too. But Shawn, 2.2 billion. And for the audience out there, this is how singers make their money. Correct, Shawn? Is touring. It's not the
Yeah,
record sales. It's not the VH appearances or whatever. It's their concerts. You were actually had an opportunity. You were offered a job in the industry of security that would have taken you into that world, wouldn't it?
well, there's always opportunities to get into security. I don't know how close you could get to a job with someone like that. You usually start on a lower tier, but
That's the big money, though, isn't it? I mean, Shawn, we're going to talk about it in a few moments, but honestly, that puts her on the level of the elite rock stars of the 70s who can still today sell out stadiums, not coliseums. Most of these people tour in the 10, 12,000. The rockers of the 70s, the legends could still sell out coliseums, but that's where Taylor Swift's at. Her concert movie, the Eras tour, is that how you say Eras? Eras, the Eras. I like Eros, like the Greek God hero. The Eras tour movie, 160 million made. That had a 10 to 20 million dollar budget. I mean, do you think Hollywood is salivating at the fact that a 10 to 12 million dollar movie has made 160 million? Kind of reminds me of Freedom, low budget, low cost movies making big money. And obviously her romance with tight end Travis Kelsey, and that's brought her nothing but a little bit of fame in the in the football world, but it's made Travis Kelsey and his brother and the NFL more prominent and noticeable. Any comments on the movie or the tour or Travis Kelsey? I mean, isn't that a bit like a dreamland for any human being to be going through? Just those three alone?
well, it hasn't died down yet. I see they keep posting her when I look at check sports scores that ESPN or whatever sports thing I'm on is still posting pictures that she's at this game and she's by this parent. And, eh, I thought it would
What
go
can you
away,
say?
but it has not. I guess it's still big news if she goes to his football games.
You know what? And it doesn't bother me, but I'm at a point. I'm like, really, guys? Yeah, I mean, it's going to get to the point where it's going to be a touchdown catch and an overtime one that's unbelievable, and they're going to be at they cut the Taylor Swift and we miss the play. That's how bad it's getting. You know, she was also made a temporary mayor down in Tampa, Florida, and she's been given the keys to various cities. And star players get that, and usually actors and actresses from their hometown. She's getting the places she's just touring at. She had a city renamed after her, Shawn, Glendale, Arizona, and that's a big city. Now let me pull it back a bit. It was only for 2 days. They named it, and I guess because her tour was stopping there or something to that effect, and they named it to Swift City. Shawn, I gotta be honest. When I think of Swift and I just see the term Swift, I think of Swiffer. If I'm Swiffer, I'm going out to get a sponsorship deal. Awards, iHeartRadio Innovator Award. She hasn't really innovated anything, but what she has done is taken her wares and maximized its value. The movie, the whole concert series. She went from country to pop, so she's maximized who she is. Multiple Grammys, 9 awards at this past MTV Video Music Awards. Video of the Year. Hey, have you seen that video? All Too Well. Video of the Year, baby. I haven't.
I must have missed it.
I know. 10 awards at Billboard's Music Awards, Global Artist of the Year by Spotify. Now, here's where it gets tricky. The numbers just came out for some industry and how much they were worth, and I was looking it up, but I couldn't. And they were, and then they compared it to Forbes. So the person was worth like 200, 300 million. Forbes had him listed at like 800 million, 1.2 billion. I mean, the numbers were just astronomically off by Forbes, and reports disproving Forbes and how they figure net value. So Forbes has her worth at 1.1 billion. And as stated, they've been massively wrong before. Others state she's worth about 280 million. I'm the type of guy that's cut it in the middle. She's probably worth 600 some odd million, 700 some odd million. Forbes is always wrong. But she's probably worth more than the outdated reports from a couple of years ago. That's wealth. No, that's being rich. So I wouldn't call 280 million wealthy, but once you get to that 1 billion, you're wealthy because you can buy a damn NFL team or be part of one or two owners. When you can go buy franchises, you're talking wealthy. Chris Rock said it best. He goes, Shaq, he's rich. The owner of the Lakers, Mr. Bus, he's wealthy. She's on her way to becoming wealthy. Now, the two questions. Any take on what I've said since you last spoke? And where does she rank amongst celebrities? I'm mostly talking the rock and roll industry or the music industry, but in essence, you could talk about it from celebrities. Any comments on what I've said, and then what's your take on where she ranks?
Well, for music, she's got to be the top female right now if she's selling out stadiums like this, and the numbers aren't lying. You brought up Country Boy. I got to, shout out to Morgan Wallen. He's another one who's selling out stadiums. So he's the male version, in my opinion, whose concerts are out of control too in terms of sales and ticket prices. So,
but Shawn, let me interrupt. Only because I want to make a point of what you just said. So you mentioned a name that's doing the same thing as Taylor Swift. But this is what I always tell people. I always use it with great and greatness. But this is a little different. But if you say the name Taylor Swift, literally most Americans will know who she is and not have heard a song or even know what she looks like. But the individual you mentioned, nobody's going to know. So my point is,
my daughter even knows. My daughter even knows Morgan.
You can go to Panama, ask, do you know who Taylor Swift is? Yes. You can sit there. Do you know who Tom Cruise is? Yes. Do you know who Bruce Lee is? Yes. Certain individuals transcend that. That's my whole point. She has transcended that into a tier unto itself. I just want to point that out because what you said is true. God bless that guy. Honestly, God bless him and all the success he has, but he can't sniff Taylor Swift's panty. How many boys are right now young 12-year-olds? So I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's an important point to make about how she's transcended just the superstar status. So where does she rank in terms of those superstars? Because honestly, Shawn, I view her more along the lines of Elvis, the Beatles, in today's generation. 50 years from now, I think she may be forgotten just because we're so fragmented with our music taste in today's society. And Elvis, the Beatles, remember, you could only dial into 3 stations and they all played rhythm and blues, pop, classic. They all played the same thing. So I don't think she'll ever be as big as those types of icons as time moves forward. But today, I think she is. I mean, and disagree with me because you obviously had disagreements when I sat there and said she's much bigger than the guy you mentioned. And the reason I'm not
saying she's not bigger than him, but I'm saying, there is other people who are starting to sell out stadiums that are, getting in the same ballpark. She probably just has the bigger reach in terms of, other countries at this point.
Yeah, she's transcended.
And she's been around longer.
Yes, she is 33 years old. That's the other thing. When I think of Taylor Swift as a man, because I'm older now, married, settled down, and what happens, people, when that part of your life begins, you kind of forget the stuff you grew up with. Not the stuff you grew up with, but what's happening for kids at that age. So when I don't know Taylor Swift's music well at all. I don't know Lady Gaga's music, but there's always a couple of songs I like out of those type of individuals. The only negative I have to say about Taylor Swift before we close out is before she actually made that switch and moved everything over to New York and went from country to pop, she was starting to make conservative comments, and they slapped her down, and she backed off. So I've lost. I've never had respect for her since then. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't. Nobody cares. But another voice that could do a lot to better this country. But at the end of the day, she's doing nothing to better it, and that's cool. That's not her job. But I wish she hadn't backed down and had stuck to her comments and been true to who she is herself versus cowering. So that's the only complaint I have. Outside of that, I don't care. God bless her. Make all your money along with Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, and everybody else out there. I give you
Well,
the last word, sir.
well, I had to do a quick lookup since you're saying she's the top. I was like, well, let's see how many followers they got on Instagram. There is three female, technically singers that have more followers than Taylor Swift. She has 279 million followers on, I believe it's Instagram that they're going by here. Ahead of her, Beyonce, 319.
She's a billionaire. Also, she's done just as well, if not better, than Taylor. So I
Here
view Beyonce along her class.
and two that one I'm not surprised with. Ariana Grande has 380 million followers. I figured she was pretty big because I know her concerts have sold out. But the one that shocked me that's ahead of all of them, 429 million followers, is Selena Gomez. Do you even know who that
That makes sense.
is?
Selena Gomez is a child star. It's like Justin Bieber. These were child stars that made it big as adults. So it makes sense. And for the record, for the audience out there, Beyonce is a top 2023 story in terms of what she's done. She's right up there with Taylor Swift. I'm not saying Taylor Swift is the only one. I'm just saying she's in the 1% of the elites of the elites, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
And as far as total she has more than 518 million followers on her social media platforms. You focus on IG. When I do research like this, I tend to how many total? Five. Almost. She has America entirely, and then 2/3 of America added to it in terms of followers. We are a population of 350 million, 520 million followers. So yeah, she's in a stratosphere with just a few select others. Any final comments on that amount of social media followers?
Nope. I will leave it
No.
at that.
Because and to the audience, I've known Sean for years, but we just started working together in this sense. But I did notice you tend to have a love for Instagram, and you don't mention any of the others. Is that your favorite social media platform?
No, when you type in most followed, usually when you type it in, Instagram is the one that has the most for most people. That seems to be their most drawn social media. It's not X slash Twitter. It's not YouTube. Um, what else? Facebook. That's sort of gone out. As of right now, for popularity for celebrities, it's usually their Instagram account is their biggest account.
Right. I've actually done research in this part of the business here, and it is the number one outlet for celebrities and artists. Why? Because it's a perfect medium. The short videos, all the photos and images, in essence, just replace Cosmopolitan, Variety, the Hollywood Reporter, those type of magazines, the People magazine, because they now put it out themselves. So I buy that, and you're absolutely correct. So, Sean, any final words for the audience before we end today's episode?
If you get some Taylor Swift concert tickets, if you could give them to me, because I know my daughter would like to attend, or
There you
Morgan
go.
Wallen. So those are her two favorites. So that's why I brought Morgan Wallen up. But if you get tickets to those, so I don't have to pay $500, send it to the Red, White, and Rude podcast, please.
Dear God. You know what music group I was just reading up on yesterday? I don't know how it came across my browser. Loverboy. Remember that group Loverboy from the 80s and 90s?
I couldn't name a song
That's a,
by him, but I
I
I
couldn't
know the
either.
name.
And I saw them in concert, but I also did see Van Halen. I also did go to the big concert tour where I saw Doc and Black Sabbath. Who's the one with Angus something that has all those great songs you hear in movies,
Are you
and it has
talking
that one heart. Yeah, yeah,
AC/DC?
AC/DC. I saw them all, but I have, and despite that, I have a little shame in saying I saw uh, Loverboy and people. So a little preview. We will be talking about the SAG actor strike. That was a big topic. We're going to be talking. It originally was why the Marvel universe may be dying, but I kind of exploited it out a little bit to why the superhero movie genre is dying. We're going to talk a little bit about that. You know, we're talking about Ocean Gate. That was a big story, Shawn, with the submersible that went down with the Titanic. So we still have some great topics in there. And it's a great show. Shawn, I'm glad we're doing this show. I think it's we started out about a month and a half ago, and we're still feeling our way through everything. But I think we're coming along behind the scenes and in front of the camera. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful that we got an entertainment podcast going. That was one of my personal goals. And for the audience out there, I've been chasing Shawn. I don't know why to do a podcast. So it's pretty cool to be doing a podcast. Somebody I don't know closely, even though I've known him for 10 years. We saw each other for once a week, at least 6-8 times a year. I mean, months a year. So it's kind of like I know you, but I don't know you. So this show helps with that. And with that, people, do not forget you can catch a Red, White, and Rude podcast on Grumblings Media. Episode 6 and our previous episodes are still current because they're cultural topics, pop entertainment topics. You can catch those there. You can also see us on Rumble and YouTube under the profile Grumblings Media, as well as the traditional podcast outlets of Spotify, Pandora, Apple, and Google. As always, we grow when you share our shows, when you share our clips or our clips out there. And don't forget to follow while you're at it. And with that, we hope you had a Merry Christmas. Be safe with the New Year's Eve coming up. And Shawn, I'm going to wish my wife early happy anniversary because New Year's Eve is both our wedding and her birthday. So we got a lot rolled up into this week. And with that, everybody, on behalf of Shawn, Red, White, and Rude, we wish you adieu.
Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these two boxes.